friends, today's video is for the news release from OPI. This is in collaboration with Sanrio for Hello Kitty's 50th anniversary. Official promotions have not yet started for this collection yet. I believe official promotions will start for this one starting on July 1st. So this should start popping up in stores and other online retailers any day now. There are 6 polishes total, and this collection is likely going to be limited edition. Since the past 2 OPI collections all featured 21 polishes, I'm really happy to say this release is only 6 polishes. Quite a few of these polishes reminded me of some OPI shades that I already have, so I will have some comparisons at the end of the video. Timestamps are in the description box, links to where you can pick these up also in the description box. Let's just get into this video. As you can tell from the intro, these bottles do have a special cap. What makes these particularly cool in my opinion is that these aren't stickers or sleeves, these are actually printed onto the caps. And I am really excited to see these printed onto the caps because the past couple of limited edition caps we had like these weird sleeves that fall off way too easily. First up we have Follow Your Heart. According to the information that I found on the seller from eBay, OPI is describing this as a vibrant fluorescent magenta. Follow Your Heart had an okay formula. It wasn't the best paint cream that I've ever tried, but it also wasn't the worst either. I was honestly kind of surprised at how streaky this one applied. Usually I find OPI pinks have like a very smooth buttery formula, and this didn't really have that. My full-length swatches show this one in 2 coats plus glossy top coat. However, looking at my swatch footage, I feel like I can see some unevenness in the overall look of this one, so I think this one might potentially be a 3-coater. So I will call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on your application, personal preference, and maybe even your nail length. So that is Follow Your Heart in 2 coats plus a glossy top coat. Super easy removal on this one, and I did not personally experience any staining. And now we have Hello Kitty, Hello Pretty. OPI describes this as a bright red shade reminiscent of her iconic bow with a shimmering finish. Hello Kitty, Hello Pretty had a fantastic formula. This is going to be one of the more interesting polishes in the collection, in my personal opinion at least. Hello Kitty, Hello Pretty has a decently opaque jelly base. There are either really small flakies in here or a really large shimmer. I'm personally leaning more towards really small flakies. They do not dry down textured at all, and they spread out very evenly and easily, so removal won't be difficult with these at all. It'll just be like a little bit messy. Coverage on this one was actually pretty great. For my full-length swatches here, I used 2 coats. I did have just like a little bit of visible nailing with this one, but it wasn't bad enough to get me to add in a 3rd coat. Is this the most unique polish in the world?
The answer is hell no.
No, it is not, but I don't really think a nail polish has to be utterly unique to be beautiful. That is Hello Kitty, Hello Pretty in 2 coats plus a glossy top coat. Again, nothing in here is going to be difficult to remove. I did not personally experience any staining. However, this one is a fairly pigmented red, so definitely wear a base coat. This next shade is called Hello Kindness, and OPI describes it as a leaf green enhanced with blue shimmer. Hello Kindness was the shade in this release that I was most excited to try because this shade looked ugly.
Ugly, she ugly. U-G-L-Y, she ain't got no alibi, she ugly.
I was really surprised when I got this one in person to find that there was a blue shimmer in here. Unfortunately, this is one of those polishes where you can see a really pretty shimmer in the bottle, but once you get it on the nail, you don't see diddly squat.
Disappointed!
Formula on this one was like okay. It wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible either. Application was also right in the middle. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. I think because this one seems to be like a yellow based green, that it was a little bit streaky. It self-leveled a little bit slower than I was expecting. The formula and application for this one weren't so bad that I would say that I would never reach for this again. I think the bigger thing that I found annoying about this one is just that there was such a really pretty blue shimmer in the bottle, and it does not translate well on the nail at all. I often find colors that look like this are generally 3-coaters on me just to get nice even coverage, so that didn't bother me at all. I think what got me was when I saw in the bottle that really pretty blue shimmer, I tricked myself into believing that it was going to show up really well on the nail. And while yes, if you look really closely, you can see a little bit of shimmer, the polish didn't really have much of like an underglow either, so I don't think the shimmer was added for it to be like a glow from within kind of thing, because like there was no glowage happening. I think Hello Kindness is going to be a solid 3-coater. I find it dries down a little bit more sheer than it initially applies, so while at first I thought I was good in 2, I quickly realized that I was not in fact good in 2 coats. I find across the board, whenever you have a shade that looks like this, it's going to likely be a stainer liner on your natural nails. So I would definitely recommend at least 1 coat of base coat when wearing this polish. I personally would go in for 2 coats on my natural nails. And now we have Supercute Color, which OPI describes as a pastel purple featuring a blue shimmer. The blue shimmer is a lot more apparent in this polish. I would say this is one of those like glow from within types of shimmers. The formula on Supercute Color was pretty okay. Because this is such a light shade, it is fairly streaky in application. I was able to reach full even coverage with this one in 3 coats, but getting there does require a little bit of finesse in applying. Do not overwork it. I found this to be one of those shades where if you go in for incredibly thin coats, you're gonna make things very streaky and messy. So go in for like normal to thickish coats, and if you can, float your coats on as well. I found that makes coverage go on a lot better. While I would still consider this polish a full coverage polish, I will admit there is just like the tiniest hint of visible nail line at certain angles in really bright lighting.
You sit on a throne of lies.
This is one of those shades that I feel like some people are going to say it's pink and some people are going to say it's purple. I'm personally going to call it a pinky purple. I'm putting it in the lavender family. I do think that the blue shimmer here probably makes this seem a lot more purple tone than the original base actually was, but I'm still gonna go with lavender. The next 2 polishes are both fairly sheer. I am not sure if they're supposed to be toppers or if they're actually supposed to be just sheer, so I'll be showing them both ways. This first one is called Let's Be Friends Forever, and OPI describes it as a glittery, shimmery pearl shade. This is not in fact a glitter, it's definitely a shimmer. You can see the particle size in the shimmer, so it doesn't show brushstrokes like a pearlescent shimmer would, but it doesn't give off any texture like a glitter polish would. And here is how it looks in 1 coat over a dark purple. This polish works really well as both a topper or building it up. It has really even coverage. Honestly, I went into swatching this polish thinking it was going to be rather boring, and while I still wouldn't say this is something I see myself reaching for or gravitating super strongly towards, I did actually kind of like it. I wasn't expecting to, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cute. That's a surprise. So yeah, that was a pleasant surprise that I thought I wasn't going to really like this one very much, but it wasn't bad at all. I think that's largely because it doesn't show any brush strokes. As you can see here, even when built up in 3 coats, you will still have obvious visible nail line with this polish. My full-in swatches here are showing Let's Be Friends Forever in 3 coats on its own, as well as in 1 coat over a navy blue. Nothing in here is going to be difficult to remove, nothing dries down textured, but it will be fairly messy upon removal. And the final polish in the collection is called Big Celebration. OPI describes it as a dazzling glitter red-pink hue enhanced by a shimmering white base. I would personally describe this one as having a pearly white base, and then there appears to be a translucent red glitter, and then the pearlescent effect in here is like a pinkish color. I found this to be a difficult polish to describe because I kind of see what they mean by calling it a white base, but I feel like the overall look of it is very pink in tone. I do still think this does classify as like in the pearl family. You thankfully do not get any brush strokes with it. This is another shade where I wasn't sure if it was supposed to be built up on its own as a sheer or used as a topper, so I'll be showing it both ways. The formula on this one was pretty good. The base did not feel really thick or thin, 0 application issues. Despite this having a more pearlescent base with glitter added, this does not have that weird kind of chunky, unky look that some of the OPI pearlescents with glitters have. And I think that's because that reddish tone glitter behaves more like a flake. It does not dry down super textured at all. You will still want top coat with this one, but it doesn't dry down gritty on the nail. My full-in swatches here are showing Big Celebration in 3 coats on its own, as well as in 1 coat over a bubblegum pink. Removal for this one is going to be fairly messy. I would recommend the soak off method just so you're not making a gigantic mess on your fingers. First up for comparisons, I'm going to do the reds. I don't have the most exhaustive OPI collection, but I do have a couple 100 bottles at this point, so I figured let's do comparisons. The first for comparisons, we have Hello Kitty, Hello Pretty from the new collection. And then right here we have Rhinestone Ready, 3 is Left Your Text on Red, and 4 is Kiss My Aries. Color-wise, I wouldn't say any of these are like exact dupes, but I do also think that like if you have Rhinestone Ready or Left Your Text on Red, you probably can pass up on this shade. Like it's pretty similar to those. Next up here we have Big Celebration, followed by Salty Sweet Nothing, Best Day Ever, and Charmy. I did not personally think Charmy was going to be that similar, but this was from one of the past Hello Kitty collections, so I figured just like put it in anyway in case someone has this and was curious. Once again, I don't think any of these are exactly the same, but they kind of are similar to some degree. And next up is Supercute Color compared to Sugar Cookie, Sickeningly Sweet and Skate to the Party. I did not have anything in my OPI collection that had this same kind of pearly shimmer in it. Like, I didn't have anything that was in this purple family for this. So none of these polishes have that same kind of shimmer. I just was grabbing things based off of like color closeness. And yeah, nothing super comparable in my opinion, at least. All right, next up we have Let's Be Friends Forever, then Gemini and I, Mary and Ice, and Snow Holding Back. I don't know if this polish is supposed to be a topper or if it's supposed to be worn on its own. So I just tried to find things in the OPI collection that I had that were kind of similar. I do think Snow Holding Back is probably the most similar finish-wise. I'm gonna put my hand under here so you can see the colors a little bit better. I think Snow Holding Back is the most similar, but that one in the bottle looks like kind of white, and this one does have like a slight pinky tone to it. Okay, next, which was both the most exciting thing and the most disappointing thing in this collection for me, and that would be Hello Kindness right here. I have a couple of yellowy greens or greeny yellows, depending on the person, I guess you'd say, from OPI. So here we have Hello Kindness from this release. Number 2 is Did It On Them. This was released quite a long time ago. It is definitely discontinued. I do know you can still find this one fairly easily on eBay and Mercari though. And then number 3 is Stay Out All Bright. None of these are exact dupes. I found that Hello Kindness is a lot more green leaning than these other polishes. I think Did It On Them is a lot more yellow leaning, especially I feel like you can see it's a lot more yellow in comparison. And then Stay Out All Bright is a little bit too dark, so it's not exactly the same. But I could probably see a lot of people saying if you have one of these, you don't need the others too.
No, sir! Not me!
And the final comparison is going to be Follow Your Heart. Obviously, because this is OPI, I have quite a few OPI pinks. So number 2 is Kiss Me On My Tulips, and 3 is Without a Pout. I believe Kiss Me On My Tulips is discontinued. At least my label is the old OPI label. So I don't think that one is still being made, but you might be able to find it on retailers online. I will say this now. I can see color differences between these 3 colors. However, I do also think that if you have one of these 2, you don't need this one. So I think if you have these 2 already, other than wanting the cute Hello Kitty caps, I would say pass on this one. There's some very slight color differences. If anything, I'd say Without a Pout is a little bit darker and more red, and has a little bit more red in it. As far as final thoughts go for this collection, overall, I don't think this was necessarily a bad collection. I think a couple of the formulas weren't as good as I was expecting, but I still wouldn't say they were bad per se. Even though Hello Kindness was my biggest disappointment from this collection, it is still my favorite polish from the release. I just love that shade of green. I do wish there was a little bit more color diversity in this collection. I feel like all of these shades, minus the green, are all things that we see from OPI fairly regularly. I believe this is the 3rd OPI Hello Kitty collection that they've done, and I still think the first one had the best color story out of all of them. I would love to know what everyone else thought of this release. Are you planning on picking it? Have you already picked it up? Y'all know the drill. Let me know. I'm always very curious to hear people's thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give me a big ol' like, comment, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. Huge shout out goes to my shenanigan. Your names of course are all on the screen right now. And again, there are links in the description box on where you can pick this collection up currently. I also have links to all of my social media pages down there. If you like my stuff, follow me in other places. I'm all over the internet at this point. Thank you all again for watching. My face will be in the next video. This is not the new normal, don't worry. So have a fantastic week, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
Big ass when I get high. I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Bry. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.